Hi, welcome to this video on marking. In this video, we're going to go through the fundamentals of how to set up marking on an exam and how to use double and blind marking. There are additional advanced roles that we'll go through in other videos and we'll link to in the description of this video, but this video is going to focus on getting the basics and showing you how it looks from a marker's point of view and what they need to do. So, with marking on Synap, it's available in exams, and when an attempt is complete and it contains questions that require marking, so those are your sort of short answer, free text, upload, audio, video responses, things like that, things the system can't mark automatically. Then you can configure marking on the exam. There's a few different things that few different roles that you configure, and if we go over to the marking page from here, we can go through the setup for this exam. So this exam has double marking enabled, and it has a minimum of 2 provisional markers per attempt. Now, provisional markers, think of them as your most junior markers. So if we go and have a look at a diagram of this, they're the people that are going to mark first. Generally, provisional markers are marking blind in the real world, and they are 2 people will be doing the same exam paper, and then they send them off for like moderation for approval. So it's the same sort of role on Synap. So these are the first in the step of the marking workflow. So this exam is configured to say at least 2 provisional markers out of this list need to input their marks before it can progress on to the next step. They're going to have round robin allocation. This is probably the one you're going to use. This is going to let the system decide itself who's going to mark. And what it's going to do is it's going to look at the availability of markers, how much they already have on the workload, and it's going to try and sort of be smart about who it allocates to, but essentially at random. Manual allocation is an option. This will mean that you need to either go into the attempts table and manually assign all the attempts, which I'll show you a little bit later on, or if you're using the API, you can do it through there. The marking rules for here, parallel and ordered. Again, parallel is the most common. It just means, like in this diagram, that if all 3 started their marking at the same time, they'd be able to do that. Some people want to do ordered marking where they say, no, provisional 1 must finish, but then provisional 2, then provisional 3. The system will set that order for you, but typically parallel is the most common. Moderator markers. Okay, so these are in our double marking ones, these are sort of the end of the road for the marking ones. They get to decide the final decision on stuff. So you can see that when 1, 2 and N here finished and completed their marks, then it becomes ready for a human moderating marker. And if you're using some of the advanced roles and advanced features, such as resolution marking, you'll understand later why I've put human specifically there. Now, once they've finished, and the way I've got this exam configured is that my moderating markers can't see the identity of the provisional markers, so they can't be influenced by favoritism or whatever it is. They can't see that, they can't see the candidate, but they can see the inputs of the provisional markers, and we'll have a look at how that looks, but they'll be able to say, oh, Taylor gave it 6 marks and Peter gave it 3 marks, I'll meet them in the middle and I'll give them 4 marks, whatever it is. So this is all very configurable on Synap. So we know there's a lot of specific marking workloads. Every organisation is slightly different. So I've built out sort of a very configurable system for this. So this is what we've got set up here. And then once the moderator's finished, they'll be able to finalise the marks ready for release. Sorry, the marks will be ready to be finalised, ready for release, and this can be done by an admin or educator. But after they've finished, they are sort of locked down in this state. Lovely, so that's how this is configured. So if we go and have a look at some of the other things that are configured in this exam, which we'll come and do a specific video on, there's a few more marking roles there. But at its core, the most important / most commonly used are this moderator and this provisional. Then we have things like auditing markers, escalation markers, and backreader role available on our higher plans. But these are for that extra roles within a workflow. But these 2 will be the main ones. All right, so let's have a look at how this looks out on a bit more filled out attempt table. So if we go to here, so I've got a status on for each role. I can look at this guy's, and his provisionals are underway. I've got a column here it's going to give me the average of the provisional awarded score. It's not been ready for moderation. I've got these two here, and they've been completed in moderation there as well. So if we go on to another exam, and let's set up an exam in here using that configuration I've set. So simple marking exam. I'm going to set it to Springfield. Just going to use a static one. Let's do that one. So what I need to do is come down to my marking page. I'm only going to do double marking. I'm going to say it can have 2 provisionals. I'm going to pick from my markers group who my provisional markers are. I'm going to pick Dave and let's pick this guy. I'm going to add it there. You can have more. You can have a lot more markers in here. I've just got 2. So the way this is configured at the moment, it means these 2 are always going to get assigned to it. So it's got to hit that minimum. My moderators as well, I can do the same. So I'm going to add those in. I'm going to pick this guy. And it's not very common, but you can have someone act as both roles. They'll still have to fulfill that role. So if he was a provisional, he would still be given things to mark as a provisional, and then it still could be sent to him as a moderator. It's not very common, so I'll leave it as it is for now. With these advanced roles, we're not going to worry about these for this exam in particular. I'm going to enable candidate concealment for both because I don't want them to be influenced. I'm going to say that they shouldn't see each other's identities, and I don't want my provisional markers to see what someone before them put. I want them to mark completely blind. Lovely. Okay, cool. So if I go down to my schedule, and I'll just set this to open now. Save that. And we should be able to go to publish if I've saved everything correctly and publish this version. Lovely. So logging in as a student onto here. If I go to this guy's exams, should have this here. And let's get him some answers ready. It's got an audio question. Test, test, test. Save that. And we should see that completed now in the attempt management table. Perfect. And it has assigned my provisional markers right away. So let's see what it's like to actually mark an attempt. Log in as one of those. It's this simple marked exam one. He's not started it yet. So this is me going in as the first provisional marker to look at this attempt. I've got a rubric here. I've got the candidate's response here. I've got some extra information for marking, which I've just included the rubric on here, which I don't need to see. I can leave some suggested feedback to the candidate. Now, this won't be shown to the candidate. It's there as like they've suggested this and the moderator will decide that. This is my feedback. I can leave internal notes as well, which will only show to my team. I can award it accordingly. I won't be able to go over the rubric. I can save. Can use this to skip straight to the next unmarked response that will show here, expanding and collapsing things as you find helpful. Here's the audio. You can just award 1 credit for that one. And that is our first provisional set of marks in. Now it's not ready for the moderator because we set that to minimum. So I'd have to go in as the other marker and do the same. So I'll do that really quickly. If we get out of here. And we'll talk through the markers inbox as well. Lovely, so I'm in as the other provisional marker. You can see here I can switch between candidate marking or question marking. Question marking is going to group the questions together, so I'm always marking the same one across candidates, but this is going to be the entire attempt for the candidates, all questions someone sat in an exam. You can see my completed as well. I can tick over and see what's happened, and I can view historical ones as well if I want. And I've got some overview stats at the top. It's going to list this as the first one as like the waiting longest, but they can reorder from here. Not been started yet, but I'm going to start my session on this. You can see here that I've got no candidate information. I don't know whose exam this was, and I also can't see what the other marker has just given. So I can go through and I can give the same. It can leave some suggested feedback. Didn't like this. Save that. Go to the next question. Award 1. Save. So I've submitted my marks. I've got nothing left to mark as this one. The markers inbox is supposed to just be like a really easy place for markers to go where they can see exactly what they need to do. They can search through as well if they need. That's ticked over into my completed one. So that's me done. We go and have a look at our attempt table while I log out as this guy. Give this a refresh. There we go. You can see my provisional steps have been completed. It's now been assigned to my last marker, my moderator marker, who's going to make the final decision. Log in. It's going to take me to the markers inbox. It's going to tell me I'm a moderator of this one. So I've got one in progress there. He might have done stuff where he's acted as a provisional. He's not in this case, but I can go straight over and do this one. I'm going to start my marking session, which should update this status bar. So you as an admin can keep an eye on exactly where different attempts are within the sort of marking cycle. In progress. Now, as a moderator, so I'm allowed to see the inputs of the provisionals. I do have that provisional concealment on, so I'm not allowed to know their identity, but I can see the date that they gave it and what they awarded at the time. I can get an even more granular view of this to see their exact feedback and an overview here. And I can choose whether to accept the marks. So maybe I agree with the one that gave it all 3s. I'll accept their marks. And what it's going to do is copy their marks over and the feedback. So we can save that. If we're happy, we can go to the last question to mark. I can see they both gave 1. Perhaps I'm happy with that. And I will accept their marks, which is, again, is putting them in the place of my marks. So I can save that. Submit the marks. I can't come back to it after this point. I'm sort of sending them to the final step. And if we go and have a look here, we can see it's been completed. He's had this full set from provisionals, a full set from moderators. He's been awarded a score. The marks are complete. Depending on your marking setup, you might be ready to finalise. And then you can release them to the student. And you as an admin at any point can go select an attempt and view the marks. And this is going to load the marking page for you so you can go in and have a look. And because you have like the full permissions of it, you can see exactly who gave what. So we've got the names back here. You can see the comments from everyone. And you can always view this as long as you don't delete the user or the exam, and that information will be there for you. Lovely. So there'll be another video on the initial exam that I showed you. And you can see here we've got things like completed in disagreement, moderating. We're missing some moderating markers. And this will be in our resolution marking and advanced marking features and video. And there'll be a link in the description. Thank you.